guys, so we are going to be using the new Jaclyn Hill palette today. I'm so excited to use this. You guys have no idea. Look at this. So we are going to be doing a tutorial using this palette, but I'm not going to include everything face-wise just because I am using a lot of my same routine throughout my face. So I'm going to do my eyes and then I'll do my foundation and concealer and powders and everything off camera, and then I'll come back and finish everything with you guys. But I just wanted to let you guys know that ahead of time. So we are going to start off with eyes today because I'm probably most likely going to be doing a little bit more of a dramatic look. So I am going to just start by prepping my eyelids for eyeshadow. I'm just using some of my Tape Shape. And as you guys know, I'm not really like a lid primer type of girl, but I definitely like using concealer as my primer. I have drier eyelids anyway, and my eyeshadow never really has a problem staying, so concealer definitely does the job for me as long as I set it. And since she does not have a just like skin toned color that doesn't have shimmer, I'm just going to use the Tempera shade from the Anastasia Beverly Hills, the Modern Renaissance palette. And just so you guys know, I have not used this palette at all. I've done a little bit of swatching, which if you follow me on Snapchat, you would have seen. But other than that, this is the very first time that I'm ever putting this on my eyes. So I'm really excited. I do have like an idea of what I'm going for, but I'm kind of just playing around because I haven't really worked with these shadows yet. So as I go, I'll just keep playing around with them, I guess. But I definitely know that I want to do some type of pop of color, like using one of these like aqua shades or something. So yeah, I'm gonna go in with the shade Silk Cream, which is the third shade on the top row. And just from this one shade, I can definitely tell how blendable these shadows are. Hopefully they are all this blendable because this is going on like butter. And then next I'm going to go in with the shade Butter, which is the second color on the second row. And I'm just going to buff that into the crease, just staying a little bit lower than where we put the first shadow. And since I want this look to be very blended, I'm just going to go back in with that first brush that we used and buff out all the edges. I'm not putting any extra product on this brush. I'm going to go in with the shade right next to Butter, which is called Pooter, which is a very interesting name. But it's the third shade on the second row. I'm just going to use this even lower than the last two shades, but I really just want to add more color to this. I want to be a little bit deeper. And when I'm going into the inner corner, I'm making sure that I'm staying low. I don't want this color to come up too high to the eyebrow. And now I'm going to go back in with that M443 brush, and I'm going to go in with the shade Hunts, which is this beautiful red-orange shade right here. It's the third to the last on the second row. And I'm going to buff this all over the lid. And continuing to blend as we apply pigment. So I am going to bounce between this brush and my R40 brush, and I'm going to use the very first transition shade that we used, which is Silk Cream. So after applying that color, you're probably thinking, well, why did you apply all of those crease shades beforehand when all you were going to do is really cover it up? But you have to know that when you apply transition shades, the whole point is to make the blendability process a lot easier. If I would have not put those crease shades in there before I applied this reddish orange shade, I would not have been able to blend it as easily as I did. So adding those layers of transition shades underneath are really going to help you when it comes to blending out more drastic colors, especially when you're putting something all over the lid. And then I definitely want to deepen this up even more, so I'm going to go in with the shade Roxanne, which is very similar to that Hunt's shade, but it's just a little bit darker and a little bit more brown. I'm going to apply this on the outer corner. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the shade Pukey, which is the 4th shade on the 2nd row. I love that she named it that. I love that she named it that. And then I'm going with the R40 brush again to blend out the edges of this. And I do want the lid to pop a little bit more. I was going to keep everything very matte, but I think I want to apply a little bit of the SBN shade, which is this shimmer shade on the 3rd row. From what I've seen from other tutorials and other people using these, you don't need any type of Fix Plus or any type of spray to make these very pigmented and show up. But me personally, every shimmer shade out there, I really just like to use something to make it more of a wet, so it gives it off that little bit more metallic finish. But I am going to apply this to the lid. I'm going to start at the center because that's where I want it to pop the most. And I'm not going to wet this anymore. I'm just going to pack the color on. That is so pretty. That's so pretty. It's the perfect mixture of like a taupey champagne brown shimmer. So beautiful. So I do want to just deepen out this very outer corner. So I'm going to use a very little blending brush. I'm going to go in with the shade Abby's, I think is how you pronounce it, but it's the black shade. So it's the very bottom on the right corner. Wow. I'm barely picking up any product and I'm tapping off a lot of the excess. This is very pigmented. And I just want to buff out these edges again. Make sure there are no harsh lines. So I am stepping very much out of my comfort zone with this because I am going to dip into these aqua colors down here, and I'm pretty nervous because I don't really gravitate towards bright colors like that, but I want to. Going to apply the shimmery aqua on the inner corner, taking Pool Party, and I am going to wet this a little bit just to make it pop a little bit more. Yes. So I am just going to apply my foundation, concealers, powders, and my brows, and then I will be back to finish off the eyes and the rest of the face with you. Okay, so now we are all done with powders, foundations, everything like that. So in case you guys were wondering, I did use my L'Oreal Pro Glow and my Tarte Shape as concealer, and then used my Brow Wiz for the brows, and I did set my under eyes with my RCMA powder, and then I set everything else because the foundation was looking a little pale compared to my skin. It still does right now, but once we put bronzer on, it'll be fine. But I did set it with my Sephora Microblend powder just to give it a little bit more of a yellowy undertone because I was looking a little too pale. We're going to finish off the eyes a little bit more before we move on to the face. So I do want to touch up this aqua color a little bit more. And now that I have my foundation done, I can do the underneath as well. I just brought it down a little bit more onto the lower lash line and blended it onto the lid just a little bit more. I'm going to do the lower lash line. I'm going to start by lining it with a little bit of black and really press it close to the lower lash line. And you can see that I'm not bringing the black all the way in. I'm only doing it on this outer corner, and then I'm just kind of lightly pushing the product in so that it blends out a little bit more. I'm going to just buff that out, and I'm going to use a little bit of the Pukey shade. And this is where you can really connect the lower lash line and the outer corner together. And I do want to add a little bit of the Hunt's shade to the lower lash line as well. I'm going to use that M562 brush, just the really skinny, tiny blending brush, to add just a little bit, and I mean a little bit. I put just a little bit on my brush, tap off all of the excess, and then buff it. And now I'm going to just bring that teal shade to meet that a little bit more, just because I didn't want to go on top of that teal shade. And then to highlight the brow bone and the inner corner, I'm going to use the very first shade in the palette, which is the shade in Light. And I'm just going to tap this, not everywhere that we have the aqua color, just very little bit on this inner corner. I just want to make that inner corner pop a little bit more. And I'm also going to use that shade to highlight the brow bone. So I am going to apply a little bit of liner. I am not going to wing it out. I just want to apply some liner onto the lash line. I'm just going to apply some false lashes. I'm going to be using my Demi Wispies, as always. So now the eyes are complete, and I love the way that this look has turned out. I'm like obsessed with it, and all of the eyeshadows in that palette are phenomenal. I mean, I've swatched a lot of them, and all of them that I used on my eyes today, it's incredible. So congrats to Jaclyn Hill on this palette, because it is phenomenal. And for the price, you guys need to get it. Now I'm going to move on to my face. I'm going to bronze a little bit with the Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion. This is the M401 brush. I'm also going to be using my Butter Bronzer to contour, and this is my M437. I'm not going too overboard just because the eyes are so dramatic. I don't want the face to be like too much. So I am going to go in with Amaretto from Becca. And this is my Crown C522 brush. I'm going to start closer to the back of my contour and then slowly blend it in. You guys know I'm a blush person, so usually I just go directly into the apples of my cheek, but I don't want anything to be too heavy. So I just want to add a little bit of flush to the cheeks. And then I do want to be pretty glowy, so I am going to go in with my MAC Soft and Gentle to highlight. There's just something about this highlight with my skin tone that it makes it really, really pretty. I mean, this looks great on almost everybody. I know a lot of people use it for like weddings and things because it's just so dewy and glowy. I'm going to go in with that In Light shade that we used to highlight our brow bone. And I'm going to see how these shadows work as a highlight, because I love doing that sometimes. That really intensified that a lot, actually. And then I'm going to set my face with the Prep and Set from Morphe. I'm going to set my eyebrows. This is the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. So this is the Natural Lip Liner from NYX. So I am mixing two lips today. I'm going to be using two of the Lingerie liquid lipsticks from NYX. This is in the shade Baby Doll and in the shade Satin Ribbon. So this is the finished look. I really love how everything turned out. the eyeshadow palette is beautiful. So I definitely recommend that if you guys have not tried it already. But anyway, so I hope that you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. Mwah.